Hey, my name is Tendajiuy. Welcome back to my channel. If you're interested in lifestyle, sustainability, dating, college, or personal finance content, you've come to the right place. So in today's video, we're going to go through a wholesome plant tour of all the plants in my collection. I've been collecting plants for over 2 years now, and over that time, I've come to love and be fascinated by them. It started as a small hobby when I first went off to college, and I started off with two of them. But now I care for over a dozen. And it truly brings me joy to see them grow as a product of me taking the time to care for them. Having greenery around my space makes me feel happy. It makes the air in the space feel lighter. It makes the space more vibrant and welcoming. So before I get into the plant tour, I'm going to go through a little breakdown of how I'm going to present each plant. So I'm going to go through its name, its common name that everybody refers to the plant by, its botanical name or scientific name, how much sun it needs, the frequency of watering, the frequency of fertilizing, and then I'm going to say what my personal experience with each plant is. Okay. So the first plant I've ever bought is this one here, Jacera. So Jacera is a commonly referred to as the Chinese banyan, and people often get these plants because it's thick, thick thighs, and the botanical name or scientific name for it is Ficus microcarpa ginseng. It only needs partial sun. I usually keep Jacera here in my bedroom where it gets, some sun, but not too much. You water the Chinese banyan at least once a week, and then you fertilize it once a month during the winter. And then caring for Jacera isn't terrible. It's actually pretty easy. I've had Jacera for about 2 years now, and as you can see, the plants it's growing. At the stems is a little bit, it needs more water. The stems are usually thicker from like the photos that you've seen online. But for the most part, Jacera is pretty easy to care for, and she's really beautiful. I would definitely recommend getting you ficus ginseng. So the second plant on my plant tour is Busada, commonly referred to as the braided money tree. And Busada needs full sun to partial sun. I keep Busada in also in my bedroom, so it gets enough light but not too much. The full sun comes from it being so tall. Since I keep it on like a bench, like a little coffee table in my bedroom, it reaches far enough above the windowsill to get that full sun, especially for the top leaves. You water braided money trees at least weekly. Do-do-do-do-do. Fertilizer, you only fertilize them during monthly during the spring and summer. So about 6 times during those really hot months. And then my experience with Busada is really interesting. This is the second braided money tree that I've gotten. The first one, while I was, moving back and forth during college, I kept it out in the winter, outside in the cold for too long. And the first one that I had died because they really do need warm temperatures to thrive. But with this braided money tree, I've definitely been much more intentional about keeping it inside and making sure that it gets enough sun that it needs. So this plant here is Shatani. Shatani is a golden pothos, or also often referred to as devil's ivy. That's where Shatani gets its name from. In Swahili, Shetani means devil, so that's the name that I gave it. Thread between a lot of the plants that I have is that because I'm trying to learn Swahili, I named a lot of my plants after it. So the botanical name for Shetani is Apernum aureum. Golden pothos need partial light. I keep it in my living room where it gets some light. That's like another thing about the apartment that I live in. It's east to west or west to east. We don't really have any south facing windows. So most of the sunlight that gets through is partial sunlight. You need to water it weekly. Fertilizer, you only need to fertilize during the months of spring and fall. So 6 times a year, but within, the months that land within spring and then fall. My personal experience with golden pothos is that I love these plants. As many pothos as I can get, I definitely will, because they're really so easy to take care of. I've had Shatani for over a year now, and no matter how neglectful you are, it still tends to grow. It's an easier plant to grow. As long as you give it what it needs, which is, partial sunlight and then watering it once a week, it's gonna grow, and it grows so many leaves, as you can see, and then the patterns on some of the leaves, especially when you give it, enough sunlight, the patterns start to really show up on the golden pothos. So this is my second golden pothos. As I said, as many pothos I can get, I definitely will. This one is Tonga. Again, another golden pothos. And the same like my last one, it needs partial sunlight. You water it weekly. You fertilize it within the months that land within spring and then fall, so 6 times a year. And this is the same as my other golden pothos. As long as you give it what it needs, it definitely will grow. And what I love about this one is that the patterns on it are actually really beautiful. You can see like the white patterning on the leaves, which I really enjoy. So as many pothos I can get with like the different varieties of like the patterns on the leaves. Next is my bird's nest fern, birdie, and it is an Asplenium nidus. So birdie here needs only partial sun. As you can see, like part of the leaves are a little bit burnt. So you really have to watch how much this fern, how much sunlight it gets. I keep it in my dining room, like a little bit further away from the window, so it's not too much sunlight that shines on birdie. You water it once a week. And then for fertilizer, you fertilize your bird's nest fern once during late spring and then once during like early fall, so like twice a year, just to make sure that it has enough nutrients to continue to grow new leaves. For birdie, aside from like the burn marks, I think birdie is, kind of easy to take care of. Definitely as a bigger plant or with a bigger pot, it absorbs a lot of water. You can definitely tell when your bird's nest fern needs more water because the leaves will start to be droopy. The leaves won't be as firm as they usually are. So when you feel like your bird's nest fern, when it's like watered properly, the leaves will be firm and they'll stick up. But if it's telling you it needs water when the leaves start to become a little bit more droopy and softer. So this is my cat palm, Mtende. And Mtende is just your palm in Swahili, so that's why I gave it that name. As you can see, like that my cat palm isn't doing as well. It is winter right now, so the leaves are a bit brown, and it doesn't look as lush and green as it usually does, like during the spring or the summer. So definitely I have to make sure that the cat palm stays warm. I keep it also in my dining room where it gets partial sun, which is what it needs to grow. And then you water it weekly, and then you fertilize your cat palm during spring and then fall monthly. So 6 times a month you would fertilize your cat palm. Mtinde is like it's kind of hard to care for it. As you can see, it's not doing the best. And I definitely have to do some more research as to how to care for it better, to make sure that the leaves stay lush. Um, but I feel that the leaves often dry out and turn like this beige color. And then I often have to like pull it out to make sure that it's not giving nutrients to dying leaves. But I definitely like the cat palm, but I just have to do some more research as to how to better care for it. So this is Inchy here, my inch plant. The leaves are actually very beautiful. Underneath is like this pinkish purple, and then on the top is more green and white patterns. I really like the inch plant. The botanical name is Tradescantia zebrina. The inch plant needs partial sunlight, and then you need to water it weekly. Then with fertilizer, you need to fertilize monthly during the months in spring and then fall. So about 6 times a month. I mean, 6 times a year. And then my personal experience with the inch plant is that actually when I first got it, it was really small. It was like as small as like this stem right here that you see. And then it grew to like these three different stems that come out. And the inch plant is really beautiful. I love caring for it. It's really easy to care for. So I definitely would recommend getting you an inch plant. So this here is Butu, my baby rubber plant, and the botanical name is Peperomia obtusifolia. As you can see here, it grows these thick leaves. This is like one of the few plants that I actually have like a stake in because if you don't water it properly, you can tell when the stem is like drooping over. And that can actually, because it grows so tall, if it droops too much, it can, potentially like harm the stem. So just to make sure that, I'm definitely taking care Butu, but just to make sure that, if I'm ever on vacation and it doesn't get, the exact amount of water it needs, that it doesn't fall over and potentially snap the stem. So you water your baby rubber plants at least once a week, and then it needs partial sunlight. So I grow Butu in my dining room, which gets partial sunlight. So it definitely gets all the sun it needs. It's definitely not going to burn if you give it a little bit more sun, but definitely partial sunlight. And then for fertilizer, this one is a little bit different. So you would fertilize your baby rubber plant at least once a month, so like 12 times a year. And then my experience with Butu is that it's a very beautiful plant. It has like the thickest leaves out of all the plants that I have. I actually loved it so much. I actually propagated it into this pot as well. And that was just with me taking one of like the dying leaves that was coming out and actually making sure that the end of it had a little bit of water. And once it started to grow stems, I planted it into this other pot right here. So I have two little baby rubber plants growing. So this here is my little Groot. It's my corn plant, and the botanical name for it is Drakenia fragrans. And it's very little. You can see the little pot growing out of Groot's head is very small. It needs partial sunlight. Definitely go with that because if it gets too much sun, you're definitely gonna burn the leaves of the corn plant. So definitely partial sunlight. And then for watering, you water it once a week. And based on like the size of your corn plant, this one, it doesn't need too much water. I find that if I water it too much or give it too much water, the leaves definitely die out, turn yellow and die. So I definitely watch how much you're watering it. I give it like a little bit of water once a week, just to make sure that the leaves are green and that it's growing healthily. So on to my three succulents. I'm gonna start off with copper, but you can see jade and jelly bean right here. So copper's common name is copper spoons, hence the name. And then the botanical name is Caloche origalis. This is a succulent. So it needs a lot of sun. It's used to being in like desert-like conditions, so you definitely need to give your copper spoons a lot of sunlight. It has like these beautiful like copper tones to it, you know, mixed in with the green. So it's very beautiful. Like many common succulents, you only need to water it bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks, you give it a little bit of water. And I definitely would recommend putting it in a like closed container like this. I'm just putting in here until I can get another pot for it, um, because it doesn't have like anywhere for the water to like drip out of, any excess water. But definitely as like a succulent, it absorbs all the water that it can and holds it. Because typically in the desert, a plant wouldn't get water for a long period of time. So that's why you water it, you know, every 2 weeks, and make sure that, you know, you watch it just so that, you know, it's taken care of. On to jade, my succulent, which is a jade plant. It grows these little leaves right here that are like thick, like the baby rubber plants. They kind of look alike, just different color. Um, and then again, like most other succulents, you give it full sun. It needs a lot of sun to grow, and then you water it bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks. The jade plant has been doing really well. It's pretty easy to take care of. As you can see, like it's grown like, you know, this little stem out with the leaves. So it's growing fairly well. Really easy to take care of, so I definitely recommend. Lastly would be jelly bean. This isn't a great like look at how most jelly bean plants would look like. This one isn't doing fairly well. Because I moved colleges from like central New York to western New York, the move was really hard on the succulent, because, you know, in the truck it moved around a lot and a lot of the leaves, little bulbs fell off of it. But I definitely want to take care of more succulents, and stay in place to make sure that they don't have like a rough transition with different weather changes, to make sure that it does well. And like other succulents, you would water the jelly bean bi-weekly, give it full sun, and then fertilizer. I don't think you would, yeah, because it's very nutrient dense, you wouldn't need to fertilize the jelly bean ever. You would just make sure to put like fresh mulch on it, you know, yearly. So that is it for my wholesome plant tour. I hope all of you enjoyed all of the plants that I showed you. I hope that if you have a fascination with plants as well, that you go out and get one. Make sure that you support your local growers, as opposed to like, you know, a shop online. And I hope that you grow to love plants as I have. In the comments below, tell me your journey with growing plants, or if you want to start your journey with cultivating plants. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more videos that are to come weekly on my channel. Thank you all. Peace.